All right, everybody. Super Bowl Sunday. I wish that the Eagles were in it, but what are you going to do? There's always next year. Anyway, so you got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the second Super Bowl in a row where a team is playing in their home stadium. The Buccaneers won the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay last year. This Super Bowl is in Los Angeles, home of the Rams. And what's funny is that so the NFC and AFC, they alternate between who's the home team and road team in the Super Bowl each year. Last year, the NFC was the designated home team, the Buccaneers. This year, the AFC is the designated home team, the Bengals. So the Rams, despite playing in their home stadium, they will ironically be the road team for this game, which is why they are not wearing their blue jerseys. So the home team gets the call on what jerseys they want to wear. They get the first call on the jersey. So the Bengals chose to wear their black jerseys, which kind of deviates from recent strategy because a lot of home teams in the Super Bowl, they elect to wear white because ever since Super Bowl 39, where my Eagles lost to the Patriots, teams wearing white jerseys are 14-3. So the Bengals, they were looking at that statistic and they were like, we don't care. So they chose to wear their black jerseys. The Rams will be wearing their white modern throwbacks with like the yellow sleeves and stuff. I'm glad they chose that jersey instead of that ugly looking gray bone, whatever they call it, jersey. But yeah, so you got two teams that are seeking to end long droughts of not winning a title. The Rams haven't won a Super Bowl since 1999, back when they were in St. Louis. That was the year where they were the greatest show on turf. They were led by now Hall of Fame coach Dick Vermeil, my guy Dick Vermeil. Led also by first-year starting quarterback Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk. That 1999 Rams offense, they were really good. That was a very good team. They won on a last-second tackle against the Tennessee Titans where they were at the 1-yard line, and it was Kevin Dyson, I believe. He got tackled at the 1-yard line. He tried to stretch the ball over the goal line, but it was no use. The Rams won. And since then, they have been to the Super Bowl twice, but they lost both times to the New England Patriots. So they're trying to win their first title in 23 years. And then you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who have never won a Super Bowl ever in their franchise history. They went to 2 in the 1980s. They last appeared in Super Bowl 23 in 1988 season. They led with like 3 minutes to go, but ultimately they could not hold off Joe Montana and the San Francisco 49ers. So they're going to be trying to win their title for the first time. And this game, so I'm pulling for the Bengals. I want the Bengals to win because they remind me a lot of the 2017 Eagles. They're like these hungry underdogs who are seeking to win that first title. And they were widely discredited. People did not think highly of the Bengals this year. They won 4 games last year, and now they're in the Super Bowl, crazily enough. But yeah, they really remind me of the Eagles a few years ago. They were 0-2 in the Super Bowl, just like we were. We lost in 1980 to the Oakland Raiders and 2004 to the New England Patriots. And so third time was the charm for us, and we'll see if it's the third time the charm for Cincinnati. Now, even though I want the Bengals to win, my head is telling me that the Rams are going to win. So, in terms of QBs, comparing QBs, I think the Bengals have a better QB. I really like Joe Burrow. I remember last year when the Eagles played the Bengals, we sacked Burrow, I believe, like 8 or 9 times, and that game still ended up in a tie because Burrow, despite being sacked that many times, he thoroughly outplayed Carson Wentz. And the game ended in a 23-23 tie. Our second tie with the Bengals, we had a tie with them in Cincinnati back in 2008. Ryan Fitzpatrick was their quarterback in that game. And it led to a very famous moment after the game where Donovan McNabb admitted that he didn't know that you could tie in the NFL. See, I really like Joe Burrow. He's got a nice arm, and he can really put a team on his back. They got Jamar Chase, who has set a new rookie record for receiving yards for a wide receiver. He broke the record that was established last year by Justin Jefferson. And they got this other guy too, T. Higgins, who is a very solid playmaker. They have Joe Mixon, the running back, who was in the Pro Bowl. I think they drafted him in 2017, I believe. The Bengals, they got a nice offense going, and their defense is very opportunistic as well. They were near the top of the league in sacks. So I give the quarterback matchup to the Bengals. I like Joe Burrow more than Matthew Stafford. Congratulations to Stafford, by the way. 13 seasons in the league. He spends the first 12 suffering in that hellhole known as Detroit, playing for the Lions. And then in his first season away from Detroit, he reaches the Super Bowl. His first season away from them. So that really goes to show you a lot about the Lions. I mean, he really didn't have anything in Detroit besides Calvin Johnson, who is a Hall of Fame receiver, but that just goes, the Lions, they just tend to mess everything up. Quarterback-wise, I would give it to the Bengals. Defense-wise, I would give it slightly to the Rams. And then coaching, I would give it to the Rams because I like Sean McVay more than Zach Taylor. But the reason why I say the Rams are going to win this game is because I do not like the matchup of the Rams' defensive line against Cincinnati's offensive line. I do not like that matchup at all. That is a horribly lopsided matchup. I do not know how this Bengals offensive line is going to protect Joe Burrow from Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller. That Rams defensive front is nasty. I want no piece of that Rams defensive front. Their defense is very, very tough. And Burrow, the offensive line has been an issue all season. People wanted Cincinnati to draft an offensive lineman with that 5th overall pick. They didn't. They took Jamar Chase. A lot of people mocked them for that, but it appears that it's paid off because look at the season Chase just had. But they still cannot protect Burrow. He got sacked 9 times against the Tennessee Titans, although they still won that game because their defense came up with some very clutch interceptions off Ryan Tannehill. And he was facing a lot of pressure against the Kansas City Chiefs as well in a game where they were down 21-3. The Bengals trailed 21-3 at Arrowhead Stadium, and they somehow came back to win that game, completely shut down the Chiefs in the second half. Joe Burrow, he ran for a lot of third downs against the pressure. So you can really, the Bengals, even though I think they're going to lose this game, I could very well be wrong. Now, I predicted them to beat the Raiders and the Titans, especially the latter, because I didn't trust Ryan Tannehill. But I didn't give them a snowball's chance in hell to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought that the Chiefs were going to thoroughly dominate them. In the first half, they did. In that first half, the Bengals looked like they didn't even belong on the same field as the Chiefs. And then Kansas City, they just completely shut down in the second half. So I could be wrong. I just don't know how they're going to protect Burrow. I don't know how they're going to protect Burrow. Their offensive line has been an issue all season. And this is a game that I can really see getting out of hand. I want it to be a close game, but this, realistically, it shouldn't be close. This should not be a close game at all. The Rams should win this game decisively. Like this, I could legit see this game being a blowout victory for the Los Angeles Rams. That's how lopsided this offensive line versus defensive line matchup is. So we'll see how it happens, and hopefully this is a good Super Bowl, because last year's Super Bowl, it sucked. It was terrible. Last year's Super Bowl was probably the most disappointing one I've ever seen. It was even more disappointing than Patriot Rams a few years ago, because you had all this hype leading up to the game about Mahomes versus Brady, the old legend versus the new face of the league. All that hype about Mahomes versus Brady, and it ended up being a 31-9 beatdown of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't even score a single touchdown in that game. All 9 of their points were field goals. It was total domination by the Buccaneers. So that Super Bowl was terrible. In fact, 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls, honestly. Super Bowl 53 wasn't good. Super Bowl 54, Chiefs and the 49ers, that was a decent game. The Chiefs had to come back in the fourth quarter. Andy Reid finally won his first Super Bowl. And then the Chiefs Buccaneers, like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, 2 of these last 3 Super Bowls were not good. Patriot Rams, I know a lot of people hated that. Like, I don't think it was the worst Super Bowl. I definitely didn't like it. It wasn't an exciting game. It was like 3-3. There was like no touchdowns in the first 3 quarters, but it was close. It was a close game. It was 3-3, and eventually the Patriots, they pulled away from the Rams on the fourth quarter. The worst Super Bowl was that utter domination of the Denver Broncos by the Seattle Seahawks. Super Bowl 48. The Seahawks were up 36-0 in that game at one point. You had this buildup of being the best defense versus the best offense, and it was a completely lopsided affair. That game was over after the first snap. The center snapped the ball over Peyton Manning's head, and then it ends up being a safety, and it was over from there. And the Broncos were wearing their orange jerseys. The Broncos always get killed in the Super Bowl when they're wearing their orange jerseys. It's kind of funny. That's why they decided to wear their white jerseys against the Carolina Panthers 2 years later in Super Bowl 50. And yeah, hopefully this is a good game. I just want it to be a good game because these playoffs have been amazing. Especially that Bills-Chiefs game. Especially Bills-Chiefs. These playoffs have been absolutely ridiculous. Wild card weekend was terrible. My Eagles got blown out. The Patriots got blown out. The Steelers got blown out. But then after wild card weekend, the playoffs, they went nuts. So hopefully this game keeps up that tradition. I hope it's a good game. I want it to be close. Pulling for the Bengals because I can relate to their struggles. Being an Eagles fan, it took us 57 years to win a championship. We were 0-2 in the Super Bowl just like them. We'll see what happens, but my heart is telling me that my heart wants the Bengals win, but my head is telling me that the Rams are going to win this game by a score of 30-24. It could be lopsided. I don't want it to be lopsided, but with the Rams' huge advantage on defensive line against offensive line, it could very well be a lopsided game. We'll see what happens, and go Birds, and everybody enjoy the Super Bowl.